This video is sponsored by the Cove split speaker. I worked with Cove earlier and they have quickly become my favorite speaker I have owned. In fact, so much so that when they asked for another sponsorship, I said, only if you send me another damn speaker. This is the only real speaker I use right now. The quality is fantastic. The versatility and range on it is wonderful. It has a long battery life and it's useful for things such as listening to audiobooks with its fantastic highs and lows, or just blasting music at the highest volume possible. And you can get your own by going down into the description, clicking on the link, and using the code BRICK67 to get up to 67% off on the speaker. However, do act fast as this discount is not forever. Thank you very much to Cove for sponsoring this video, and let's get on with the topic. Hello everyone, my name is Bricky, currently running from the FBI for using eavesdrop in COD 4. Team Deathmatch is a classic mode of many shooter games. A team of players spawn into the map and have a score limit, and for each kill scored on the enemy, they gain a point, and when they reach the score limit, they win. Players can either start with custom loadouts, have map-specific weapons, respawn tickets, or something of that nature, but regardless of how it is played, normally it comes down to spawn, kill, die, respawn, and repeat until the game is over. Deathmatch and Team Deathmatch were popularized a while ago with games like Quake and a personal favorite, Unreal Tournament 2004, God bless, but became a much more casually known experience with the popularity of Halo and Call of Duty. In fact, even though the first few Halos and major Call of Duties came out in the 2000s, a massive influx of them started popping up in the early 2010s as everyone was attempting to get a piece of this market. Games like Warhammer, Space Marine, BioShock 2, and Spec Ops: The Line all came out in the early 2010s and had tacked on multiplayer modes that felt out of place when packaged with otherwise pretty good story campaigns. Now, some of these modes aren't bad per se. I have good memories of playing BioShock 2's multiplayer as a teenager, but I think we could all agree they felt a little out of place in the overall product. Deathmatch games were something I grew up on as they were a main source of enjoyment with my friends. If you had to track the games I played the most in high school, Halo 3 and Modern Warfare 2 would most likely be the answers. It became not only something that was vastly enjoyable and even offered customization through Halo's Forge system or Call of Duty's progression, but it was practically an avenue of socializing. Discussing created class or building Forge together was just as much of a social event as playing the game itself. See, as much as this video could be a Bricky violently comes over his high school gaming nostalgia, and it still might be that, it's supposed to be about deathmatch games. This is a genre that, while near and dear to my heart, has been on the decline over the past 7 or so years. The cathartic spawn die system of personal progression and that lone wolf gameplay has ever so slightly been phased out for more hardcore, risky team-based games. When it comes to what's popular and what's exciting, it looks like most of the titles swimming around are one life, team shooters, or battle royales, all of which forego the constant action of deathmatch for a stricter, more specialized form of gameplay. Take battle royales for instance. BRs are inherently a high-risk style of game. There are many targets to shoot, but you also need to manage your own survivability and ammo as resources. The game is less so first 50 kills, but more loot, shoot, position, and yet one mistake will see you dead. That's why battle royales have become the new hotness, not only because I do think that many of us growing up did wonder what it would be like to have Call of Duty Hunger Games, but also because having an insane skill ceiling and the huge highs a battle royale game can have really provide a good entertainment ability for things like Twitch. For hardcore team games, you can look at Rainbow Six, CSGO, Valorant. CSGO has been around for a while and Valorant is basically Riot's CSGO, but Rainbow Six does follow in the idea of a hardcore tactical shooter with only one life per round and lots of team play. While you as a solo player can get stuff done to an extent, the real power comes from the coordination with your teammates as you tend to need them. And lastly, the rise of MOBAs. Now, MOBAs just aren't team deathmatch games and really never have been, even though some people really like to play them as they are, but they echo the same sentiment that all these other titles do, which is a lower focus on individual skill and a higher focus on team play. League, Dota, Smite, all of these play with a heavy emphasis on teamwork. In fact, even the more recent shooter games have the same issue. Recently, Overwatch is the game I keep thinking about when I think about the idea of lone wolf personal skill versus team play, because Overwatch, for what it is, does have a spawn die mechanic. However, the game is so important with its team comps and its ultimate charges and its game modes and maps that in reality, even though you can have godly aim and do pretty well in Overwatch, without a coordinated team, it tends to mean very little. In fact, even with a long history of League of Legends, I would still call Overwatch the most toxic game I have ever played because you require comms in order for it to work out properly. And the game is so easy to mess up with one bad push that it sets people off, well, pretty bad. However, all of this, the team-based gameplay and high-risk mentality of these games, all lead to a specific thing: esports. Esports popularity has gone far and above the days of MLG. Now that it's a major phenomenon with spots on even ESPN, a focus on those high-risk, high-reward team games makes sense. It's difficult to create a scenario for viewers when players are consistently in the game from a watchability standpoint. Because if you look at CSGO, for example, when a player gets eliminated, you can easily swap to another player and show off what they're doing. You don't really know if a player is going to be going on a tear in a deathmatch game until they actually start doing it. Creating that live hype event is tougher, not impossible, but it doesn't have the same excitement when the stakes are higher. A game that either has a one life remaining or a main objective focused game mode like an Overwatch Push the Payload, something of that nature, is a lot easier for esports commentators and cameramen especially to be able to work around and look at. Spectating a game is its own skill, and it's much harder when people are constantly going in and out of the action over and over again. All in all, I feel like this is the reason we are seeing a decline in the classic style of deathmatch shooters. If a game wants to survive for a while, it needs to either have a decent esports scene, be popular on Twitch, or be a fluke through word of mouth or a well-established franchise. And this is where Call of Duty comes in. Call of Duty and Battlefield are really the only two games right now that are seeming to have maintained this formula over the years to decent success. However, in terms of popularity, COD seems to have been surpassing Battlefield in the past couple of years. Battlefield 1 and 5 weren't unpopular games, so to speak, but they didn't garner the same rave reviews as the recently released Modern Warfare remake. That remake in particular being a game that I ended up playing a pretty staggeringly large amount of, because even though it's probably a terrible idea to my heart and soul, I buy every Call of Duty that comes out because I still have that itch for the lone wolf gameplay, long-term progression, and the classic feeling of spawn, die, repeat. But even they seem to be self-sabotaging themselves with their insistence on a yearly cycle of releases and pouring resources into a battle royale warzone mode while it is still rife with bugs, balance issues, and an abundance of hackers. Because for all of its problems, Modern Warfare was pretty good. Its dedication to realism was appreciated, the customization and visuals felt welcome, and overall, minus a few issues, it turned out to be a pretty stellar game after a long line of here or there titles. But of course, they simply couldn't help themselves as they took a rushed and overall unpolished title and shit it out a year later in hopes of still capitalizing on the once a year formula. I have played agonizingly little of Cold War because Cold War is agonizing to me. Besides the zombies, I do like the zombies, but everything else feels so incredibly dull. And now I hear that we are going back to World War II for the 3.1415 trillionth fucking time, which is upsetting to me, because it seems that people are yearning for a return to form, a return to the old formula. Splitgate is doing monumentally well, and it came from almost nothing but word of mouth, since their original launch campaign didn't do particularly stellar. Halo is coming back swinging with rave reviews on their limited tech beta, and I don't know a single person who isn't creaming themselves over the new Battlefield game. Hell, even with the sheer clusterfuck that is Titanfall and whatever's going on over there right now, the game still maintains a player base, and I doubt it would if people only had Last Titan standing. The Decline of Deathmatch has been present over the years, but it seems that it is making a return, and I only hope that other games will follow in its footsteps. I don't want the early 2010s to make a return, but being able to have more options in games is never a problem to me. And that's the thing I'm the most hopeful for. Call of Duty may maintain deathmatch as a game mode, but revitalizing it, but bringing it back to the glory days is something that I've been yearning for a while, and it seems like we might be on our way to do it. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you thought my voice was weird, that is because I've come down with strep throat, and about every 2 sentences I had to take a big swig of water because saying this was incredibly difficult. But I still want to get the video out, so thank you so much for bearing with me. Anyway, let me go ahead and check out my Patreon shit posting section over here. People are asking me what I think about the Cowboy Bebop live action thing. You know, it doesn't look as bad as I thought it would. That being said, it is still a live action anime, and therefore I have very low hopes. High-Sec Care Bear Eve Corp when? You know, I did a bunch of Eve Online streams. That's an interesting game. It is certainly interesting. I would like a High-Sec Care Bear Corp, where I just spend my entire time being Amazon and making a bunch of ships. That'd be fun. Some people ask me what my thoughts are on Pinhead in the public test beta of DBD. I haven't played DBD since the Twins DLC. I haven't played Nemesis or the Trickster, and I probably won't play Pinhead. That being said, I think they're like the 5 Pinhead people out there were super stoked, and I will admit, he does look really cool. All right, everyone, I'll see you in the next video. It'll probably be a little bit sooner than you expect, but thank you for bearing with me.